Hello and welcome to another episode of Next Level Coaching with Erin Cotman. I am Erin Cotman, and today I have a guest that I go way back with, Miss Tanesha Cager.
Hi.
Introduce yourself to the people.
So thank you for having me. I am Tanesha Cager, and um, this is my 14th year in education. So I did
That's big dog status.
big dog, and I did 13 years in the trap, in
The literal
trenches,
trap.
the literal trap.
Yeah.
But I loved it. It gave me my edge. So I started teaching. I was a TFA core member,
What year?
2011,
Oh, I was
Atlanta.
2010.
Atlanta core. We're the best.
That.
You probably forgot.
That's okay, fine.
Because when I came to Ways, I was no longer in the core. I had finished.
You
my
had finished
years.
out.
Yes.
And you taught eighth grade English when I met you, right?
Yes. So I was a core member in Cobb County. They didn't have core members at the time. So I was in the non TFA.
You were like a pseudo core member?
No, I was like a pioneer.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you for that reframe.
Core member. Yeah, like on that map, the one dot was in that county.
Were you by yourself?
I was by myself.
Like the only one at that school?
The only one at that school, the only one in the county for TFA.
Shut up.
Yes. And so it was a lot, right, to try to prove like we deserve to be in the county too.
Yeah.
But in all, it was great. They hired more of us in the county after me. And then I matriculated to Charter School Network, and that's where I met you.
Yeah.
And after that, I went abroad to Abu Dhabi for 3 years, then Saudi Arabia to an international school for 5.
Pause. I didn't know about the Saudi Arabia part.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna get to so we have Tanesha on the episode because we're gonna talk about technology and coaching, but I always like for us to learn the background of the folks that are sitting in this space. So hold on. Okay. So I know you taught in Abu Dhabi. Tell me about the Saudi Arabia part.
So 2014 August, I got my golden ticket to be a part of the educational reform, went to Abu Dhabi, and I taught Emirati girls English for 3 years there. While I was there, I was engaged and married, and that's how I moved and matriculated over to Saudi Arabia with my husband.
So hold on. So first of all, I always have heard amazing things about teaching overseas. One, is that true? Because I was like, dang, if I had my son a little bit shorter later, I would have done that. Because I always just hear really great things about the money, the students, like is all of that true? Like, is it really all that it's hyped up to be, in your opinion?
On the leadership and the coaching,
which is the same here.
Correct.
Okay, so what did you learn from that experience?
So I learned that the technology piece is very much ahead of our times over there.
Okay.
The government really pours into education. They believe that education is the key to everything. It's the gateway. And with that, like the sheikhs, they pour millions into the education system. That's why they wanted Western teachers to come abroad and teach their people our ways when it comes to English, math, and sciences. They still kept their culture piece when it comes to Arabic, Islamic class, and social studies. So the kids basically had half curriculum in English and the other half in Arabic. And then they had jujitsu from Brazilian teachers who they brought from Brazil.
Wow.
So they really manifested this reform, and they really wanted to pour into the education sector. They do not want their people to just lean into oil, because that's, where they tapped into it. But they said it's more to it than just oil money. Like, we want you all to do something else with your minds and like go back to school and things of that nature. So from there, from Abu Dhabi, I matriculated from a government school, which is our public school, to an international school for an oil company. And so I was on a compound, and that's where That
sounds very rich.
It was very nice. The students were from 86 different countries on our compound, and it was the polar opposite of the government school. So I went from trying to galvanize and, really get the buy-in from the people in Abu Dhabi to being asked if we can go to the library 3 or 4 times a week because the kids are devouring the books and
Wow.
the parents are valuing education tenfold, and the kids have 3 square meals a day. We all go home for lunch for an hour, and they're getting on Mercedes-Benz charter buses to go home and come back, and it's great. But it was a 7 to 4 day. The kids 7 to 4.
Sounds familiar.
That's why I was able to survive.
Sounds like something I used to do.
Correct.
In the trap.
Yes, we both we're used to that. Very much so. 6:50 to 5:15.
So what has the transition been like being back in the States for you?
This is my 2022 I moved back, and a lot has changed but stayed the same. So when it came to the classroom, when I came back, they asked me, I went back to the same district I started in, and they asked me to do second language learners, math. I had never taught math a day in my
Yeah, I'll
life.
say you're an
I'm
you're an English girly.
all day.
Yeah.
11 years.
Yeah.
And then they asked me, they said, well, if you can teach, English in second language learners, we're sure you could do math and science, a little bit of everything.
Oh, okay.
But it helped me in my coaching bag. I'm not even going to lie. Like, I literally help those kids in English, math, their like English proficiency. They take the access test through the Reader portal, and then I was able to, that's where I found my niche with second language learners. They were like, oh, you were overseas, so you know how to communicate and build a community with second language learners.
Crazy how that was like a setup, like that connection, that through line.
For sure. And I had no idea what it all was prepared me for.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful because my students the past 2 years were like, you understand us, like how do you know how to translate stuff? And you helped me with all of my work, not just teach me math.
Yeah.
And push into a science class here and there.
But I feel like your relationship building has always been one of your strengths. I feel like
it's the only thing I can lean into sometimes. I'm like, okay, they don't like English, so let me, y'all want to do a rap? So half of the time I had to lean into the community piece, building relationships with the kids, especially at Ways.
Yeah.
You had to get their buy-in. And that year helped me in Abu Dhabi because it's very tribal and community built, like based. And if they don't respect you and they don't like you, they're not going to work for you. And so same kind of goes with coaching.
Yeah.
And I've learned that. And I lean into that a lot now with my current position out of the classroom.
So let's talk about that. What is your current role?
I am now an instructional technology integration specialist.
What does that mean? Tell the people what that means.
That means, well, first, I am nationally certified in instructional technology.
Say it again.
I'm nationally board certified in instructional technology.
Don't play with her.
I have my EDS in instructional technology from Kennesaw State. And now I am in the technology services department where I am coaching teachers to help them implement more technological savvy and fun, engaging standards based and challenge based CBL problem based learning through a learning management system. So basically we need more technology in our lessons. Kids are bored and they're not as engaged as we would like them to be. So it's my job to I'm like the fun aunt. I like to say I get to come and bring all of my gadgets from spheros to merge cubes using CoSpaces. I bring podcasting equipment. I literally just did a PL where we did a tech tools tasting. So I helped my colleague. It was her vision.
Tech tools tasting.
It was so
that
lit.
sounds cool.
It was lit. Like the kids really enjoyed. We had 4 stations and we did 6 sessions over 12 sessions over 2 days.
Yeah.
We took over one school's media learning center, learning commons, and this was my colleague's vision for what our framework is. So we have this challenge-based framework now where for the coaching, we're coaching teachers because a lot of them do not know how to use the equipment. And unlike myself, like I'm not that old to, feel silly in front of kids if I don't know how to do Minecraft or how to create a world in Minecraft. The kids know how to do this stuff. But if I allow them to see me fail forward, then that's building relationships. So in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, well, can you teach me? Come help me.
Yeah.
But a lot of my colleagues do not like looking like they don't know everything and all the answers. And if we could just break that barrier of that mindset of the teacher has to know everything before they can teach it, then I feel like we will have better relationships with our kids. It's not like a sit down, be quiet, I'm the teacher. It's literally, let's work on this together.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. How can we tweak this and make it fun and incorporate some technology and some apps versus here's a worksheet, sit down, be quiet, don't talk. Put your head down.
Okay.
Slant.
You said so much.
Sorry.
No, because I have to go backwards. It's good. Okay, so first question I have is how did you decide that you wanted to get into like the technology? Like where did that piece come from?
Hmm. Funny you ask. So it was by accident, actually. So on the compound, we did not get teacher breaks. So if you're not working, this is called a gray day, and you still have to come to your classroom and work. So if it's the summertime and you didn't take paid time off, you're still in your classroom. You're still on the campus.
Oh, ain't no 3 months of summer off.
No, no, no,
Okay.
no. You get the national
You
holidays.
need to tell the people that be complaining.
Hello, be thankful. So basically, what happens is we had this new future lab,
Uh-huh.
and I just stumbled in there one day and I found a glow forge. Do you know what a glow forge is?
No, I
So
have no clue what a glow forge
a glow
is.
a glow forge or a 3D printer. So we had all of these
No.
things. And this was 20, I think I was pregnant too. So I waddled in there,
Mm-hmm.
bored.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, let me just tinker around. So I called it tinker time. And it was a time each day I would just go in. I'm done with scanning all of my books into my school library or whatever, the classroom library. And I found myself learning how to burn or etch things into like notebooks and little wooden anything, like any item or object. I learned or taught myself how to use the glow forge, and then I'm like, "Well, how can I use this in an ELA class?" Or like so I started creating CBLs by accident. Like, "Oh, well, it's June, by September when I come back from maternity leave, I can do this with my 6th graders." So instead of this boring analog like
Yeah.
activity, let's create a CBL.
Wow.
So I asked for permission from my like principals and the technology department there,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Just try something. Yeah, go ahead." They gave me free range. It was a lot of autonomy, which I was not used to. I was used to having like a lesson plan submitted by Sunday, and if not, I'm in trouble. And so I'm like, "Okay, well, you give me freedom. Thank you." And so with that, I just started implementing certain small little technological pieces. The podcasting between me, myself, and the 5th grade teachers, we started like podcasting for like a TED Talk. That was the challenge-based learning. Like that was the actual
Yeah. Yeah.
project for the end of quarter one or trimester one. And so with that, I held on to it. And then when I came back here, I had these ideas just in my ESOL classes. I'm like, okay, well, babe, you can't speak English, but let me translate what you're saying. Let's use immersive reader. Let's use OneNote, like anything to try to get them to feel like they're here for a reason. So I didn't just let them sit there not speaking the language.
Yeah.
So
This is so interesting. I need to fix my face. I feel like this whole podcast, I'm like, I'm like, this is so cool. Okay. So okay. One of the things that you talked about was so in your role, are you going into the classroom as like support or how much of your role is actually building capacity of the teacher, right? Like how is that looking? How what is the balance of that in your role? because, and then I guess my second part would be, how are you working with teachers who, really are combative to the idea of, either I'm just not technology is not my thing, or, you know, it, you hear a lot like, well, this is just the new thing, right? And this will
Yeah.
die in 5 years. And
Right.
they're either your vets who are kind of just like super
Stuck in their
resistant,
ways.
or teachers who just have a real mindset issue. So how much is you pushing in, and how much is where's the coaching part, I guess?
Okay. So funny you might ask. So our job or my job is to first I start at the top. So I get the principals and the admin and the coaches and I woo them a little bit. And you kind of feel like a salesperson
Yeah.
because you're having to have them buy into the vision of, hey, tech is not going anywhere.
Nope.
And the kids are going to use their phone. So why not have them scan a QR code to make like their work pop up on their screen
Yeah,
or
yeah.
AR, VR. So with that being said, at the beginning of the year, I sit with I'm over a cluster of schools.
Oh, okay.
So I don't just have one school, I'm over 5, 3 to 5 schools a year, and with that, I schedule meetings with all of the admin team. If they pass me to the coaches or if they pass me to a chair, because they're the more technologically savvy, as you said, then I go where I'm wanted, right? So, okay, the principal, they may be too busy. The AP may be over transportation and testing, and
Yeah.
so a coach may be my go-to person. As long as I have an in, that's all I need.
Hmm.
Because whoever is the person scheduling the PLs, that's my bestie too. And because or if they give me the free range to go into a PL, like the grade level PLs. We call them CCCs. So if I can go into a grade level meeting for a content area and I'm having a cluster of teachers, I can sell or pitch ideas to them or let them know what's available from me, how I can come in, and they can book me. They can book me
Okay.
directly, the teacher can. I have school-wide PLs, so some of my principals have me on the calendar for the whole year.
As they should.
They booked me already, like, "Hey, Tanesha, can you do a reading progress PL? Can you do something to teach them how to create, a book creator app for whatever English lesson?" So, the admin and the coaches and the teachers all have free range to book me and use me. I can come in and model lessons in the actual classroom, or I can do a full on we did a tech tools tasting, like I said, where all of the math teachers brought their children to us each period, and they rotated. Well, they all went to stations. 4 of them. It was 4 stations. So we had Spheros, we had
What is this
G-Force.
zero?
So the Sphero is like it has a micro bit. It's like the little thing you can code,
Uh-huh.
and it's inside of a clear ball. And the children are coding, they're learning to code on the
Ah,
iPad,
okay.
and then they control it rolls off.
Right, right, right,
So we
right.
had to enclose
I
them
bet.
in, and they had the ball like, the spheres just rolling all over. But you can use that in math, right, to, like, plot. So the x-axis, y-axis. So the math teachers were like, "Oh, we could use." So
Yeah.
that was, like, for them to see without them having to feel nervous about,
Right.
"I don't know how to teach this," versus, well, how they could ask questions on the spot while the kids are playing. They don't have to have the anxiety of, "What if this doesn't work and I'm by myself?" And,
I think that would help. I feel like that would, for the teacher who is nervous or has a mindset issue around technology, I think it is almost like a let me show you better than I can tell you
Yeah,
scenario would be really important, which is something a coach often has to do. So, like,
correct.
a lot of times I will say as a coach, you can talk at someone all day, but if you would just show them, you're going to cut that learning curve in half,
Yes.
because sometimes people just need to see it to be like, oh, okay, I can do that.
Yes.
Versus like, well, you should try, or if,
Right.
like
You just give me
talking
a
a lot.
list.
Yeah, talking a lot just will kind of impede the progress. And like I say a lot within the company, like increasing teacher effectiveness faster, right?
Right.
Like it has to be faster because the state of education in kids needed to be fixed faster.
Yes.
There was this article I was reading about engagement, and it was like a poll around just the amount of kids who are just say in general, they're just not engaged with school. They find school to be boring.
Yeah.
They asked them like the percentage of them who felt like something they had learned something interesting that week. Like, and it was low. Like kids are in general just not engaged. So I'm wondering, is your role a common role? Like, is this common in districts? Is this something that other schools in like as a country that we're like investing in, or is your district kind of ahead of the curve on this?
I'm a biased person when it comes to this, only because of my direct report. So we have a learning innovation design framework that my actual boss, this was her vision,
Mhm.
and the district bought into it. Like they poured into her vision, which was amazing because you don't see that
No.
often. And she's a woman of color.
Mm.
So that also just kind of tugged at my that little propaganda technique
Yeah.
ethos, right? So with that, the fact that somebody believed in her dream and then she brought me on to like help fulfill it.
Yeah.
So this framework is fairly new.
Okay.
Every district is going to have an instructional technology department. Whether you see them or not, they're in your buildings.
It's just a matter of what they're doing.
Correct. Or how their role is tailored. Like your boss has to shape it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
we want it to look like this. So in this role for my district, she wants to get technology into the hands of
She wants you
every
guys
kid.
hands on. She
Not
wants
even
you.
us. She wants the
Yeah.
kids to have technology in their hands. She wants the standards from, of course, Georgia DOE
Yeah.
to be matched with the ISTE standards and married together. And so it's my job to ensure that the framework flows. Like the teachers I don't even have to give the teachers like all of the framework from my you know, intake per se, but I do give them just enough like, hey, you can match this with that.
Mm.
Your standard for math, I get it. It's on milestones. Boom, beacon this, map this. So when they start hearing that I know because I've been in the classroom, it's not like I'm far removed. So I do get a little bit more respect from the educators, which is nice because they're like, oh, you really?
You know what you're talking
Oh,
about.
you
Yeah.
understand the
You're
math
not like
lesson
a
or a
tech
writing
teacher who
workshop.
just doesn't understand the connection between the
Right,
two.
I'm not just throwing stuff at you like a list just so I sound smart. Like I really can help you. And then the kids, they're like, "Are you coming back?" Because
We liked
we
it
got this
there.
project next week, and I kind of want to do the podcast.
So I'm thinking about so I'm thinking about you as a coach, right? And
Yes.
so what strategies, um, even just like outside of technology, are you using as a coach? Like, what do you feel like you're like? I know, like, for me, like, when I'm constantly harping on like real time coaching, I'm constantly talking about relationship building as a
Mhm.
part of your coaching, active listening. What do you feel like? What types of coaching strategies do you feel like you're using a lot in this specific role that you're in?
So aside from the tech piece, active listening for me is big because a lot of the teachers don't feel heard.
Mhm.
And I was really blessed to have coaches and admin that checked on me. I felt heard, I felt cared about, I felt that they were invested in my own, like, dreams and passions.
Yeah.
They never tried to hold me back, they didn't pull the reins if I stepped outside the box with my outlandish foots of fancy with technology. So, for one, I try my best to just let them, quote, unquote, "dump on me." So, I do feel like a therapist at times, and
That is a thing as a coach.
yeah,
You end up having to talk to them about how much their rent is.
everything.
Should they move out their house?
Correct.
What about that
Their dog
boyfriend?
died.
Yeah, I'm
And all
hungry.
the things.
I'm on a new
So
diet.
I bring
Yeah.
snacks. I do, because I too like to nibble.
Mhm.
But I do feel as though the active listening helps break the barrier of like, she don't get it. She doesn't understand. You don't want to hear my mess versus, oh, Tanisha's here. Like, then it's more, come on in. Like, I can go into their classroom and they won't tense up because I have to wear like the shiny
I was gonna say, because
situation.
you have the
And I gotta,
district thing too,
oh,
right?
it's so
So
different because,
yeah.
but I have to remember who I am too. I'm like, this doesn't change me.
Yeah, that's good.
So, but with that, that's how I was as a teacher. If my principal were to bring somebody with a shiny badge, I'm like, oh, hey, come on in. I invited them in because you want to see what I'm doing? Great. But I'm not going to change it up. This is the community. This is the culture. Teaching is happening whether you're in here or not.
Yeah.
I'm not just faking the funk.
Yeah.
So come on in, have a seat. You want to join? Like, I'm not afraid of it. So in that retrospect, I now do the same for them. I'm like, I'm just in here. Like, don't worry. I'm invisible. Like, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm not here to report.
Correct.
I'm here to assist and collaborate with you.
And then the kids, they tense up because they're like, ooh. And I'm like, no, no, no. But now that we're doing the tech tools tasting, the kids see me in the buildings, they're coming up to me for hugs. And so I'm trying my best to build the relationship with everybody. But then that also means they want me more.
That's a good sign.
Between
But that's a good sign.
Yes, it is. It's
hard, but it's a good sign. Because what I hear you saying is like, no matter even the types of coaching that you're doing, relationship building is still key. Seeing the person before like the job or the desired outcome, right? Because you could come barreling in there with all your tech tools and
it's overwhelming.
Right. And
And
so I think that's the thing, right? So you are with it enough to understand this will be overwhelming for people, right? So like one of the coaching tools I used to love was this book, States of Being. And one of the things they would say was you want to hold their feet to their fire while holding their hand. And it was always this image of Oprah running across hot coals. But it was this idea of like, it's going to be hot. Yeah. And it might be like, oh, this is hot and it's moving fast. Right. But she had someone holding her hand along the way. Like, I'm still here with you. Right. And I could almost assume for a lot of people, technology would be the same. Because even some of the stuff you're naming, I'm like a sphere, a globe, what? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I can't even get the new Instagram fonts and I'm scared to log out of my phone and log back in because
you forgot your password.
Yeah. So when you're saying some of these things, I'm like, huh? Right. So I could imagine people being really overwhelmed on top of all the other like responsibilities and asks of them. So I just think it's really intuitive for you to say, like, I understand that this could be overwhelming for someone and that impacts my approach to this whole thing. I have to ask this question because it's popular and I think it's a hot topic, one of the hot topics in education right now. So AI. I love AI. I use AI way more than I probably would have imagined I have, like just in my personal life. Like I use it for work too, but in my personal life, I'm like, hey, I need a grocery list. I need some meals. I need
kids,
all kinds of things. Yeah. And so I'm wondering, there's there's people on the fence who are like, AI is bad for students. They're not going to learn. They can cheat, even though, I mean, there's been ways to cheat on your work for forever and a day. But anyway, right?
Inception, yeah.
Teachers are going to be lazy and just get their lesson plans from there. And like, that's that, right? So with your expertise, what would you say? What are your thoughts around AI in education and how we use that effectively?
Okay. Well, unpopular opinion. I think that it's here to stay. I think that it's important. I think that, like I was saying, the bibliography cards from back in the, like the teacher had to teach me how to use it. And so I feel like we have to teach the kids how to use it and the do's and don'ts. And what are the consequences of your choices if you choose not to use it properly versus just a free-for-all and then you're mad at the kids when you didn't even give them parameters. If you give them parameters and they know what is acceptable and they know that I can go back and check it, I think that it's necessary. For teachers, it's necessary. Magic School and Query Pod, like all of these different types of applications and websites are made for us as educators because we don't need to be up on a Sunday night at 10 o'clock because we wanted to just have a little pinch of a life from Friday at 5 o'clock to Sunday. It's okay to let AI create, like all of these lessons are on a wheel. Like, just let AI create it and then you tweak it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
That's the thing. I think it's the tweaking part, right? So I think it's like to me, it's no different than when you hand me a scripted curriculum.
Correct.
I still have to go
thing.
through there and make the adjustments to make it fit my context and my kids and where they're
And
currently
scaffold them.
performing, right?
Exactly.
So I think that's the thing. To me, it's kind of no different,
But it's the
in a lot of
mindset.
ways.
And also, who's saying this? And are they even certified to speak? In my
Yeah, so a lot of
humble
people
opinion.
talking about technology that don't have the
I'm like,
background and the knowledge. Yeah.
right, have you taught 150 kids? Do
Yeah.
you know how it is to have kids with 504 plans, EIPs, IEPs, RTI, Fortify? Do I keep going? And
Right.
then you want me to sit and think of something brilliant
Make it
every single
engaging every week,
and
every
then
day.
add technology, but you don't want me to use anything to help me? No, that's foolish. And there's too much technology for us to just recreate the wheel every week,
Yeah.
especially when even the Georgia DOE creates lesson plans, but you have to be able to dig through that stuff. There are links upon links. And
Links upon links.
people don't even know it though. Like, teachers don't even
Don't even know it exists.
It's free.
Yep.
And I'm like, why are y'all stressed out? You could just go here. So when I show teachers stuff, I'm like trying to make their life easier. It's like, okay, you don't have to cry about it. I promise. Like, you can just do this. And when I leave or when they leave from me, I want them to leave with something, not just a list from on a Post-it, or they just put stuff on a parking lot. That's not going to help them. I want them to feel like they've taken something tangible and can go use it and not just forget about it because it was just cute. So no, I feel like the AI and VR, AR, it's here to stay. So we need to use it to our advantage.
I feel like I could talk to you for hours about this technology stuff. And now I'm over here like, who do I know that Tanesha needs to be working with?
Because connection.
Yeah, well, just because I think it's clearly not everyone's strong point. And so to me, there's just like a space and place for you to like take your brilliance and just show it in other spaces and places because it's not everyone's thing, right? That they know of, right? They may not be the expert, right?
I can help them tap into those.
Yeah. That's
geniuses.
super cool. Okay, so here's my ending question for you.
Okay.
Who do you think it's most important to be besties with in a school? The janitor, meaning like I keep everything clean and tidy, the lunch lady, or like the head of maintenance? I'm always team lunch lady.
Right. I remember Miss Pat myself.
Mm-hmm.
I will also have to say the lunch lady only because I'm a big bag.
See?
Big bag.
Do you know my yeah.
I like to eat.
Yeah.
But I also have a kid in the system. So it's like they look out for her. It's like, well, I know pitted fruits is such and such. And so I made sure she had apples. So it's more to it now. But all 5 lunch ladies at all the schools know me.
See, I feel like if you're not at one school, it's even more important that you know the lunch ladies.
Because what if I'm
going to forget my lunch.
Right. Or I'm going to make sure my kids have what they need. And then I'm the one with just a Celsius or something to chug on. And I have a full day of PLs. I can't run out.
Yeah.
And then DoorDash, they may not let them in the door. So it's just like, they can't even dash.
Right.
So I'm going to say the lunch ladies.
Yes. Lunch ladies.
Because they are pivotal and they keep me and all my kids together. Second runner up would have to be the maintenance, like person, head of maintenance.
I agree.
Because they can go to a warehouse or put in an order for me to get furniture as well as take the broken stuff out.
Our maintenance man, Dave, I loved because my office was always
cold.
cold.
Dave was really nice.
And he would always hang pictures for me. And he let me keep my illegal space heater.
You did have
he just said, don't tell nobody and don't burn this school down.
Correct. Turn it off on Friday before you leave this building.
Yep. Yes. I am really excited that you came on the show. I appreciate you so much. It's nice to see. I don't know. Like I said, you were teaching 8th grade and I was teaching 7th grade.
Yes.
And now we sit on this podcast talking about all kinds of interesting things.
Life. It'd be like
how can folks either get in touch with you, work with you, just learn more about you and all that you're doing?
So on Instagram, I'm aesthetical. Say that 3 times backwards. So it's ESTHETICAL.
Okay.
On X, formerly known as Twitter, it's aesthetical 1908.
Because she's my soror.
You didn't know.
Thank you for joining us. It was really great.
Thank you for having me. This has been amazing. I love talking. I could talk all day about in tech.
We'll have you back because I feel like we only scratched the like
The
surface.
surface,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's definitely an onion. We could peel back some more layers.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you next time.